Now that you have pledged to vote, we want to provide you with the tools to make informed voting decisions. In this short video, you will hear from candidates for State Representative of District 81. Democratic candidate Ian Kidd will respond to questions first, followed by Republican candidate Rich Irvin. What is most important for voters to know about you?
It's a really good question, right? And whenever we go out on the trail, we have to first, kind of give a little brief biography of who we are as people, right? Because I think the most important thing beyond your politics, beyond your ideology is, who is this person who's trying to represent us and why? What is their motivation and what are they all about? Who are they as a person? So, I always go out and I just say, my name's Ian. I'm 24, which is a little bit younger than the slate of candidates, which, I find myself running both with and against up and down the slate. I started working on this campaign when I was 17. I was a senior in high school, and a good friend of mine who was a teacher at Huntington was working for this guy named Rick Rogers, who I'd never heard of before. And he said, why don't you come to a meeting, just, see what it's all about. And I was hooked. So from 17, I started writing letters to the editor and, editing speeches and just kind of hanging around whenever there were meetings and going to public events and stuff. And I did that for the rest of that cycle. And in 2016, I was at Lock Haven University, and Mr. Rogers ran again. And so I was closer to State College that time, being in Lock Haven in the Clinton County area. So I started doing some field organizing events in and around Center County in the Ferguson and Patton Township areas. And by the end of that cycle, I was director of Center County, the operations for our campaign there. And 2018, I started as that again. I was still at Lock Haven. And by the end of it, I was deputy campaign manager. And I went to Mr. Rogers at the beginning of this cycle. And I said, hey, boss, what do we do first? And he said, find a candidate. So Mr. Rogers is enjoying his well-earned, well-deserved retirement and was ready to pass the baton off to the next person. And so, it was a very organic transition from, writing letters, dropping them in the mailbox and, visiting the post office and working my way up the whole way up till, being in front of the camera and being a candidate myself. So, just that while I am young, I've literally dedicated a third of my life to this race, professionally and personally speaking. I think it's important to know, my background in this, further my background in education. I'm a social studies teacher by trade. Both my parents were teachers. So education, vitally important to me. Just the idea that, I'm somebody who is from the community. I'm a lifelong Huntington County resident. Somebody who cares deeply about the community. And, as a young person, I care about, more than just now. I care about what Huntington County is going to look like in 25, 35, 45 years. So I'm really interested, in this race and in being as useful as I can to the people of this area and in how we kind of create a more inclusive, better Huntington County, 81st District, Pennsylvania, and world for all of us, really.
Thank you, and for the opportunity to be part of your video. I thank the AAUW as well as Juniata College for hosting this. Juniata College is very important to Huntington County, not only as an employer, but as a community partner. I think in this day and age, when colleges and universities across the nation are sometimes stretching out or extending their bachelor degrees to 4.5, 5 years, I brag about Juniata College and the fact that they have a 96, 97% graduation rate within that 4-year time frame. So I know Juniata College has a very good program, and they have a way of modifying your learning or your degree to get that bachelor's degree that's customized to each individual. Just a little bit about myself. I graduated from Indiana University of Pennsylvania in 1994 with a bachelor's degree in accounting. Probably back whenever I had hair, but the reason I took accounting was I was originally going to get into the FBI for fighting blue-collar crimes, or white-collar crimes, not blue-collar crimes. And, took a different direction. I was never interested in politics really whenever I was in college or even in high school. It was just something that progressed after I graduated with the accounting degree. The position of treasurer of Huntington County came open, and my aunt, who was a tax collector, she said, "Why don't you think about running for that? You have an accounting degree." I knew I didn't want to be an accountant, but I did want to put my college skills to use. So I thought, what do? Put out a few yard signs and get your name on the petition. But it worked out well, and I was 18 years as the Huntington County treasurer. And then I had some individuals approach me about running at the state level. So that's how I ended up being here and as state representative. I really do have a vested interest in our district. My family lives here. I have a 22-year-old stepson who just graduated from Penn Tech up in Williamsport. Obviously, we're dealing with student loans, and he's dealing with student loans there. I know that's something that's a big concern to college students right now. I have a 17-year-old stepdaughter who's just graduating from high school and actually getting ready to move to college, or getting ready to make that move to a college. And then we have my biological children that are 10 years old and 7 years old. And personally, I've really enjoyed, the last couple of years I've helped coach my 7-year-old's flag football team, and obviously in this sport. So I do enjoy that, and it's a great way to get out and support our youth and support our athletics and build our youth. I think myself growing up here, my family growing up here, this is a great place, a great area to raise a family. And myself, I try to do what I can to help our community. I've been the past president, and I'm a current board of directors of the local Huntington County United Way. And then I've been past treasurer and current board of directors of the Center for Community Action, which is a 5-county human service agency that provides services to Huntington County as well. So I'm really, want to, stress the fact that I think, many high school students, they'll leave, go to college and say, I think I can't wait to move out of here. But then once they get away, they realize what a great community they have, and they want to raise their families here. So that's what really drives me as a state legislator, is to actually, make this a better place for you to live and to raise your family.
What do you believe are the 2 most important issues facing your district, and where do you stand on each?
The first one is kind of symptomatic of our nation right now. I think we're sort of at a crossroads, and that crossroads is basically due to the partisanship that we see in society. And I think the biggest issue that we face here locally is also the inability or the unwillingness to cross the aisle in certain respects. So I think we need to work toward understanding different people's different experiences, right? I think intersectionality is kind of the key word of our generation. We have these different experiences, these different histories, these different backgrounds, but we all come together, to form a community, to form a society, and we can't do it without anybody else. It really does take a village, if you will. So, I think that really the core of my campaign has been to reach out to people who feel maybe differently than I do, or that they assume that I do about political issues, but also just to show that somebody can, feel differently or have a different set of politics, but still be a good person, but still be someone who you would like to hang out with, still be somebody who you can trust to have your best interest at heart, and still be somebody who you believe can do a good job. Whether you believe, the steps to get there are the best or not. So I think that, it's on us really to reach out to individuals who have different experiences or different opinions, and rather, reach out with a handshake rather than a hatchet. I don't think it benefits anybody whenever we as neighbors, we as family, we as friends are kind of breaking down that social contract, that interaction that we have with each other. So I think that's the most vital thing. We have to get past this perceived inability to work together, to talk together, to break bread together. And I think, when we do that, whenever we break past this, sort of surface deep differences that we have, then we realize that there's so many different things that we can do, right? Then we can improve economic opportunities in the county and in the district to keep our young people here throughout their lifetime. Then we can provide a transition program for individuals who are leaving one workforce and entering into another workforce. Then we can, improve our school systems further from the primary to the secondary to the collegiate level. Then we can do all sorts of things. Sorry, my cat is seeing a dog outside and not happy about it. So so I think once we get past this layer of partisanship, then we can get to the core of the next issue, which is economic opportunity. And so I've been calling for a jobs training program at the state level, which would increase and expand the VOTEC, the vocational opportunities that we have here in the county, throughout the district as well. And that looks something like, offering more adult classes. That looks like creating a general welfare fund for individuals who have a family and they're worried about leaving one workforce, even though they realize that it's unsustainable economically and environmentally, but they're worried about, feeding their children or paying their rent or, affording their mortgage. So, if we're here to help people who are jumping out of a metaphorical burning building, we need to provide a safety net for those individuals and those families. So I think, the biggest issue we have right now is partisanship, and the idea that, we can come together and work on some of these common sense problems that have common sense solutions. And it doesn't matter what letter comes after your name. If you're willing to listen to all sides of an issue, if you're willing to, engage with different people outside of your base or outside of, your home community or your comfort zone, really. And then once we get past that, then we can reach deeper into these economic issues that we have, which do really plague the district as a whole, but specifically Huntington County and Mifflin counties.
In the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the fact that we've had such an economic downturn in the state of Pennsylvania and the nation, I feel that those are the two biggest issues that we've been dealing with at the state legislative level. And, we're living in unprecedented times and challenging times dealing with this pandemic. And I don't think the people of the Commonwealth have ever had the restrictions or the policies that have been forced upon them ever before in the history of this Commonwealth. I think many of your business owners who have worked a lifetime are building, or to build their livelihood, are closing their doors without, any hope of reopening. This is just driving our unemployment numbers to record highs and threatening the way of life for the citizens of Pennsylvania. I think I am entrusted by the people of the 81st District to look at multiple issues from various angles. And, I'm looking at it right now. We need to try to control the outbreak and resurgence of the COVID-19, but we also need to look at saving our businesses and keeping our workers employed and get them back to work, and providing those family sustaining jobs for the citizens of Pennsylvania. I think throughout this pandemic, our republic, our democracy has been threatened by the fact that we have unilateral decisions that are being made without the voice of the people. So whether you agree or disagree with how the governor and his administration has been handling this pandemic over the past 7 months, we as a legislature need to be your voice for the people. The governor is there to work for the people, and the General Assembly is there to work for the people. But the governor needs the ability to respond quickly in times of emergencies. But over the past 7 months, I am positive that the governor could have come to the General Assembly and we can work together as Republicans, as Democrats, to solve problems and do what's best for Pennsylvania and the citizens of it. And, you know, we very well may have ended up in the same exact state that we're in right now, meaning the business closings, the restaurants and bars having restrictions put on them. But at least then we would have had the voice of the people working together with the governor. And that's how government works its best, whenever you have the checks and the balances on the system so that we can move forward. I think, you know, I don't know how much time I have, but one of the other issues that has really come to light, we were talking about it earlier, is I had to get my stepdaughter off the internet in order to make sure that we can have this Zoom meeting, was the rural broadband connectivity and ensuring that all businesses, education, and telemedicine have that ability in this global market that we're dealing in right now. I've looked at, you know, various aspects of how we can increase it, and there's really no one rubber stamp or way of handling rural broadband connectivity in the state. But you know, I sit as a rural broadband co-chair on the caucus in Harrisburg, and we're doing everything we can. And one thing that I think that we can do to really push that along would be, you know, there's more cell phones in Pennsylvania sometimes than I think than there are people. A surcharge on cell phones to help get that connectivity may be a way that we could look at it at the state level, as well as passing telemedicine visits. So pro jobs, I think, is something that we really need to be focused on at legislative level and get our economy back to this level, be actually better than the level that it was pre-COVID.
How do you plan to make college more affordable?
I'm a 2019 graduate of Lock Haven University. I still have my tuition bills lying around here somewhere, I'm sure. But I'm a proud product of the PASHE system, the Pennsylvania State Education System. First of all, I believe that the state owes something to its constituents. So I believe that we need to further invest and further fund the public education school system at the state level. Further, I think for private institutions such as Juniata, such as other private colleges that we have in the area, I think there needs to be more access both for prospective students, but also for institutions for public grant money. So there should be more grant money coming from the state to an institution that accepts, you know, individuals from a lower working class or a lower middle class background. And that money should be specifically earmarked toward improving and expanding the accessibility that individuals have to a quality education, no matter their background. You know, I say over and over again, your zip code should have no determining factor on your GPA. You know, whether you're coming from, you know, State College or Altoona or Mount Union or Cassville or any of these areas, you should have the same opportunity to prove that you have, you know, what it takes to become an engineer, to become a teacher, to become whatever you want to be, right? There should be no limiting factors on your education just because of your family's economic situation, your community's economic situation, or, you know, or what have you. So yeah, I want to see an expansion of the grant program, more grants for both students and for institutions. I want to see the state take a more proactive approach in prioritizing education. You know, we look at Pittsburgh as an example. Pittsburgh was a blue collar manufacturing steel city. And then we see throughout the 70s and 80s, this national global trend of jobs leaving the high paying jobs leaving the United States. And Pittsburgh is, you know, left for dead, basically. They're almost bankrupt. People are leaving. And they really took that upon themselves to reimagine and rebrand and reprioritize themselves as a city of education. Now there's nearly 40 colleges and universities in Pittsburgh. So I think if we refocus our efforts, you know, if we reprioritize education, you know, at the pre-K level, at the primary level, secondary, and then further on to, you know, college or something like it, right? So, and I believe that, you know, that includes, you know, technical programs, that includes vocational programs, and that includes all sorts of different elements to that post-secondary, that collegiate level, right? So I just think that we as a state owe our constituents, who are our bosses, really, we owe them the opportunity to prove that they can do, anything that they set their mind to.
Well, I know with the college students, probably the most popular answer would be the Bernie Sanders program that would say free college for all. But I look at, our state budget, which is right around $35 billion. And, we spend 40% of that on education. We spend 40% of it on human services, 10% on corrections and, the judicial system. And the remaining 10% goes to fill in all the other gaps in state government. So, reasonably, there's just you got to look at it, the money it's not there to fund free college for everyone, at least in the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, that's also a federal debate that goes on as well. I think it is terrible that we ask college students, and like I said, myself, I was there at one time myself, what do you want to do for the rest of your life, and what kind of degree do you want to get, and ask you to spend, $50,000 to $100,000 on that. And I know the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistant Agency. I've met with them, which are a quasi-government agency that, I mean, many of the college students probably have dealt with, that deals with grants and loans for your college education. But one thing that they've done whenever I've questioned them is actually educate high school students on, if you get into this degree field, this is what you can expect to be making after you graduate from college. And it may put in perspective a little bit to say, okay, it'll take you this long to pay your college education back, compared to what your earnings levels will be. So, I think our greatest export in the state of Pennsylvania right now is our college educated young adults. They're leaving Pennsylvania to go to other states in order to find those higher paying jobs that are in demand. And one of the ways I feel that we can stop the brain drain that we deal with in Pennsylvania is to make sure that we create a business friendly climate here in Pennsylvania, so that we are attracting manufacturers, those corporations, into Pennsylvania, so that they create those higher paying jobs, so that we can put our college educated graduates to work right here in Pennsylvania, so that they're paying taxes here. They've already reaped the benefits. We've put hundreds of millions of dollars into the education system out of the state budget on an annual basis. And if we can keep our college educated graduates here in Pennsylvania, and then they get a job here, high paying job, then they will be paying taxes back into the system. And the more money that we have at the state to divvy out, the more money that we can actually forward to the college institutions in order to provide a more reasonable or cheaper education to the Pennsylvania citizens.
I understand our questions were limited in their scope, so I wanted to give you the opportunity to share anything else you would like with our viewers.
I just wanted to really thank you for supporting this. Thank you for sponsoring this. But yeah, just to engage, right? So as a social studies teacher, we always say that our classrooms are laboratories of democracy, to rip off a quote from Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis. And so, at the national level, we've adopted this C3 framework, which is civic engagement in the classroom. And the idea is that we can carry that from our classrooms to our homes, to our families, to our communities, and to our world, right? So I really encourage everybody to get involved. Not everybody has to run for office, but they can do something like you're doing, which is, getting the word out, helping educate voters. Just really take the opportunity to educate yourself about, not only the people running, but the offices that they're running for, what those offices do, the functions of those positions that these people are trying to occupy, and, acquaint yourself with who best, personifies your beliefs and your opinions And the idea that young people don't vote, I think that's ludicrous. I think when young people see themselves reflected in their politicians and the policies which we're advocating for, I think young people are going to vote in waves. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and I think that if we do our job as politicians and as people, that we'll see a great turnout this cycle. And I appreciate your role in helping that.
No, it's great. It's a great opportunity to reach out to college students and Juniata College, and just to let you know that I am very happy we have Juniata College in our backyard, and it's a great university or a great college and a great community builder in Pennsylvania. And like I said, I never would discourage anyone from pursuing a college degree, but one thing that I think that we could look at is, it's important in Pennsylvania we match our educators and our job creators and put them together. And whether that be through the college education or a career and tech program, or even a 2-year degree like my son had acquired, it's a way to make sure that we get our individuals to work and get them getting them having their families right here in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and you guys have a good day.